Happy Movie Monday, everybody. Hey, it's Andre, and I want to talk about Morbius. A lot of people have been talking about Morbius, so let's get into it. This is a spoiler alert. I am going to spoil all things Morbius. So if you not want to get spoiled, take care. But if you want all the giblets, let's go. One positive I will give this movie, it is efficient. Probably to a fault, because it's definitely got some weird editing going on. There's definitely some scenes that feel missing, and I don't even know if they were taken out or if they were never even filmed. But this movie wastes no time. It wants to get Michael Morbius to be a vampire so fast in this movie. They're like, all right, we'll do one flashback, but let's get going. And you know what? In a weird way, I kind of appreciate that. I respect you, Morbius, for not wasting too much time. The whole movie, I think, is like an hour 40, though it feels a little bit longer sometimes. But I do appreciate the efficiency. Unlike this YouTube video, which is not gonna be efficient, because I'm gonna talk about this movie way longer than I probably should. So after we see Morbius pick up a bunch of bats in Costa Rica, we do get this flashback scene 25 years ago where little kid Morbius, he's got his disease, he can't walk around without crutches, he's in a hospital in Greece, and he's being taken care of by this doctor, Dr. Nicholas. But then this new kid shows up whose name is Lucian, but then Michael's like, nah, I'm calling you Milo. He gives some backstory like, oh, there were other kids in the bed that you were in and they're gone now, and the first one I remember was named Milo, so just so I don't get attached to every other kid, I just named him Milo. It's a very complicated way. Just call the kid Milo. I feel like this was some weak attempt to try to get a bond going with them, because even later on in the movie, when Michael and Milo are fighting, he even says, Michael, we're friends. You called me Milo. You named me. Okay, whatever. Just name the guy Milo. But one night Milo gets sick, and it's because his machine's not working. Michael fixes his machine. So then Dr. Nicholas was like, oh shoot, Michael, you smart. We're gonna send you off to a school in New York somewhere. But they stay friends. Like Michael sends Milo notes every once in a while. Although, oh shoot, man, it was funny. So Milo gets this note from Michael, but it accidentally flies out the window. And they had already addressed earlier that there's like a school nearby where the not sick kids make fun of the sick kids, call them freaks and stuff. So the letter ends up in one of these kids' hands, and Milo, like with his crutches and everything, goes out, tries to get the letter, and the kids are making fun of him like, ooh, look at your little letter from Michael. And Milo takes that freaking crutch and just goes, whap! I'm sorry, that shit was hilarious. Normally I would have said that's the biggest slap I've seen all week, but weirdly enough, it wasn't. So we cut to years later as an adult. Michael still has the disease. He's a doctor now, still trying to figure out how to cure the disease, not only for himself, but for Milo and for others. Oh yeah, Milo's still around too, also rich now. But in the process of Michael trying to figure out how to cure his disease, he also created artificial blood. It's like this blue synthetic liquid that works the exact same way as regular blood. Why would a PG-13 movie about vampires need to make a fake, not red blood to put in the movie? Gee, I wonder. Or PG-13, I wonder. He even gets a Nobel Prize, which he rejects for some reason, because he's like, I'm all about finding this cure. I gotta fix this cure for me. I gotta fix this cure for Milo. I gotta fix this cure for this random sick black girl that's all of a sudden in the movie, who then we don't see for the rest of the movie. She's like in 2 scenes early on in the movie, like, oh, this poor child, we gotta save her. And then like they never speak of her again. Like she doesn't die, I don't think, but she just doesn't show up anymore in the movie. Oh, but the thing I love, man, so I mentioned Dr. Nicholas earlier. Dr. Nicholas is taking care of Michael and Milo when they're kids, right? So we cut to 25 years later, and Michael and Milo are adults. Dr. Nicholas is still alive, and he has not aged one day from 25 years ago to now. That's why they ain't cured. 25 years, still on crutches. Meanwhile, this dude has not gotten one wrinkle from 25 years ago to today. I suspect foul play. That money is going somewhere else. Michael also has a doctor colleague, Dr. Martine Bancroft, who they have a little bit of flirty time with, to the point where Milo is a little jealous. Like one of the early scenes we see with Michael and Milo, Milo's all like, I don't know, Michael. Why are you spending so much time with that girl? Like, why are you trying to act like you gonna fall in love? People like us with our disease, we don't fall in love. We're like, love is not in our cards, so we just gotta stick together like you and me, right? There's even a scene later on where Michael and Martine kiss, and you see Milo in the background, like staring at them. He's all pouty faced too when he sees them kiss. He stalks her at one point. Michael, I don't think you should have named him Milo. I think you should have named him Stan. Please don't go out wondering why. I respect Dr. Bancroft, Michael Morbius's doctor colleague / love interest. I love her in this movie just because she has to say the most ridiculous things but act like they're not ridiculous. There's one point where Michael's all like, I'm doing something unorthodox. And she goes, like mixing human DNA with bat DNA. And people in my theater laughed because we thought it was a joke. No, I mean, I know that's the movie we were going to see, but just the way she said it sounded like it was a joke at first. And then you realize like, no, she's just being absolutely serious. That's what made it funny because she says it like it's normal. Oh, you're just gonna mix human DNA with bat DNA. Oh, so you're now sucking blood? Oh, you're a vampire. Okay. Like she never once goes, what the hell? Like it's just always like, this is real. This is really things that happen in this world. I accept this as true. Respect. I respect that. So Morbius and Bancroft go on international waters to do this experiment, and they bring in these mercenaries to protect them. They bring a bunch of guns for 2 doctors to do an experiment. So of course Morbius takes the medicine, gets better, turns into vampire, kills everybody on board except for Dr. Bancroft. But what I love is that they felt the need to add a scene to make the head mercenary be an a-hole.
Shouldn't be down here.
I can be wherever I want, nurse.
Because he comes in, looks at Dr. Bancroft, calls her a nurse, and she's like, I'm a doctor. He's like, oh, okay, I guess I can see it. We're doing an experiment here. You should get out of here. Hey, I'm on this boat. I was hired. I walk where I damn well please. I'm like, okay, dude. Really? Like, is that the justification? Is like, oh, he's a jerk, so now when Morbius slices and sucks his blood, cool. Oh, sucking blood in this movie. So it has all the elements of a vampire attacking people, slicing their necks. It has sucking blood. It just don't have blood. It's PG-13. You get like a little drop here and there, but like there's literally scenes where like people are sliced across their neck. They're all like, but there's like nothing. There's nothing there. Or when they suck blood, they're like, don't look. But I'm doing them, seriously. There's so much blood here right now. Oh my God. Oh, it's gushing everywhere. If only you could see it. It's like in those Wolverine movies, those PG-13 Wolverine movies, where Wolverine literally like stabs people with his claws and takes it out, and there's just nothing there. It's just holes, like a freaking cartoon character, like he's about to drink some water and it's gonna spill out. That's what this felt like. But commitment. The thing about this movie, as ridiculous as it is, everyone commits to the bit. I respect it. It ain't good, but I respect the commitment. So let's talk about Morbius's powers. So when you mix human DNA with bat DNA, not only does it cure your disease, but it gets you ripped. I didn't notice it at first, but every time you see Jared Leto shirtless in this movie, pre-living vampire, he is scrawny. When he becomes Morbius, this dude, it's like, you remember when Spider-Man, when Tobey Maguire woke up the next day, looked in the mirror, or you remember when Captain America, when Steve Rogers came out the machine? It's literally that. It is like the moment he becomes a living vampire, you see shirtless Jared Leto, and it is just like, hello. He also has bat powers. He can like talk to bats, control bats. He's like the Ant-Man for bats. He's a Batman. I liked his bat radar power, so his ears will like perk up, and you can see like the little hairs in his ears getting all, ooh, what's going on? I hear something. He's all Dolores from Encanto. I'm Morbius. I can hear you. We don't talk about Milo. But yeah, his ears will perk up and you see like these sound waves going out and they can hear what's going on. I thought that effect and the CGI that went with it was actually pretty cool. But there's this other effect that, I'm sorry, I tried, but it was a little much. So every time Michael Morbius jumps around or fights or flies or glides, they put like this weird watercolor paint smoke effect on him, always around him all the time, but they don't do anything. They're just like in the way. It's almost like you almost can't see him, like they're trying to hide him. They do this constantly. There's also a couple of times where it'll stop and do a slow-mo, like but it's just this watercolor effect. It just, after a while, it just gets a little messy. Like there's one point where I legit got a little nauseous looking at it. Like the bat radar thing felt like a legit CGI effect because you're like, this is how the sound waves are going. But this just feels like something they added just to have an effect. But I will give it this, man. The action scenes, even though they're, you know, the usual, you know what? It's energy, and anytime this movie can have it, I'll accept it. So I actually thought they were fine. There's also a couple of the scenes that felt a little horror-like. There's one scene with this nurse in the hallway that totally feels like it came out of a horror film. So that was pretty good. So it's not, you know, it's got some stuff. There's a couple of things in there, a couple. And then there's the vampire face. So sometimes vampire faces, spot on, legit. Other times, like there's one time where Morbius turns around, I think it's the first time he turns into the vampire. I was like, okay, that's legit. But then there's other times where they try to do this thing where they have regular face and they turn into CG vampire face and then turn back. Make me feel like a lower third bumper is gonna pop up and say, thank you for watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer on the WB. At that point, I'm like, just sparkle. Just go full Twilight at this point. I almost feel like Robert Pattinson is in the middle of the Batman, turns over to the other theater and sees Morbius with those vampire faces and be like, yeah, I remember those days. But as powerful as Morbius is, he needs blood to keep his powers up. He's basically Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors. He's like, I can't keep doing this unless I have some blood. So remember that fake blue blood we talked about earlier? You don't want to show him drinking too much regular human blood. So we're going to show him drinking this blue stuff like he's drinking freaking Gatorade, getting some Mountain Dew cool splash. However, dun dun dun, the fake blood does not let his powers last as long as real blood. So after a while, he is like, hey man, I'm sorry, I gotta do this. Luckily, we got some blood in the blood bank. So of course, Milo finds out that Michael has cured himself and of course wants to cure as well. But Michael's like, no, you don't want this. It's monkey's paw. You're gonna be all vampire, wanting blood all the time. And Milo's like, I don't care. Do you see me right now? I'm on these crutches. I got these old shoes. I look at you being all ripped. I want that too. Milo takes a super serum himself and he becomes a vampire too. I don't know how he did it because when Michael did it, he actually had to have Bancroft's help, had to get stabbed like in the back in the spine. But somehow Milo was able to do it on his own. They never show it. They just show that he got it. Michael's all like, I don't know if I should drink human blood. This is a struggle he goes with throughout the entire movie. I don't want to drink real blood. I don't want to drink human blood. But when Milo gets it, he's like, I don't care. I'll suck everybody's blood up in here. Michael's all like, I don't know. I don't think I can have another bite. And Milo's like, food, glorious food. The fair is a regular old smorgasbord. This is just like Venom. You take someone who was normally a villain and you make them a hero. So then you make a villain that has the same powers as the hero who was originally a villain. So that way the new villain can actually do all the stuff that the original villain would have done. But since the villain is now a hero, he can't do it. So then you have the villain doing the stuff the hero would have been doing instead as the villain, but now as a deeper villain than the original villain that's now a hero. Are you confused? Because I am. But I will give Matt Smith his flowers. He understood the assignment, as they say, because this dude is having fun. Everyone else in this movie is all, this is serious. We're in a serious movie about a man that turns into a vampire. But Matt Smith is like, I'm a vampire. I'm gonna suck your blood and I'm gonna dance over your body. And I'm not making that up. That's literally a thing that happens. He sucks people's blood and just goes like, it feels so good to be a vampire. There's one scene where he's just looking in the mirror, like dancing around. The whole scene is just that. Just I'm dancing around, feeling good. My face turned into a vampire face. Let's go out tonight. He does this one dude dirty. I mean, the dude did block him. Like he was trying to talk to this girl at the bar, and this dude was like, hey man, she's taken. She's mine, bro. Back off. And Milo was like, all right, cool. That's cool. And this dude with full gargoyles perched on a building just waiting. He must have been there for like hours. He just was waiting like, come out that bar. Come out that bar. Sure enough, as soon as that dude walked out that bar, he was like, McCavity! The person that wins the award for way too damn serious in this movie is Tyrese. Tyrese is like the cop that's trying to figure out what's going on the entire time. I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna ask some questions, I'm gonna leave a card, I'm gonna leave. Even his partner is more lively than him. Come on, it's Tyrese, dude. One point, one of them even goes, oh, this is like that thing that happened in San Francisco. Yeah. There's even one point where Michael even says to somebody he attacks, I am Venom.
Who are you, man? I am Venom.
So So they're very much implying that this is in the same universe as Venom. But that Spider-Man poster that you saw in the trailer, nowhere to be found in this movie. Now let's get back to Milo being toxic. So Milo is wild, dude. So if people talk about Michael Morbius, he'll attack them. But then if people get close to Michael Morbius, he'll attack them. And then he even attacks their non-aging Dr. Daddy, because he just all of a sudden goes, oh, you always thought Michael was better than me. So of course he attacks Dr. Bancroft. I think he kills her. Michael's sad about it. They kiss. Piece of blood comes from his mouth to her mouth. And I think he sucks her blood at one point. I think she says something like, make my death worth it or something, or make this mean something. And I think he sucks her blood. I don't remember. I got a little foggy at this point. The watercolors were starting to mess with my brain. But anyway, somehow his blood ends up in her body. She wakes up at the end of the movie. So I'm guessing she's alive and possibly a vampire. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is we're now at the point where they got to fight. Michael CGI fights Milo CGI. A lot of watercolors, a lot of slow motion, darkness, bats just go everywhere. Yeah, dude, there's a lot of bats in this movie. Between this movie and the Batman, there are a lot of bats working in Hollywood right now. Well, it is a city full of bloodsuckers. Am I right? Oh! Top tier joke right there. Top tier. So Milo is done. Morbius accepts his fate. His girlfriend might be alive and a vampire. That little black girl in the hospital, we don't know what ever happened to her. So when the movie ended, I was like, look, this is not good. But you know what? It's not horrible. It's not the 15% Rotten Tomato dumpster fire that people have been saying online. I'm just like, it feels like an old movie. It feels like a late 90s, early 2000s movie, both in its story, as well as its look, as well as its CG, as well as its execution. Feels out of its time, but if I was watching this on cable, if I was randomly picking a movie on streaming, I'd be like, this ain't great, but I don't feel like it hurt me. I don't feel like it hurt my time. But that's because I should have left there. If I would have left at that moment, I probably would have been fine. But I stayed for the after credits. Y'all, this has to be one of the laziest, most ridiculous, most WTF after credits I have seen in a movie in quite some time. So you remember in Spider-Man No Way Home when Doctor Strange was like, oh no, the sky is opening up, these purple lines are showing up everywhere, and things are about to come out into our world to get Spider-Man. You remember that, right? Sorry, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Spider-Man No Way Home. So while those things were open, where people were about to come in to that world, I guess they also simultaneously decided, hey, Adrian Toomes, Vulture from Spider-Man Homecoming, we're just gonna take you away and put you in the same world as Morbius and Venom. When that whole portal was open, we just took you away, just you, nobody else apparently, at least not yet. He shows up in jail in their world like, oh man, hope the food is good here. Not, hey, oh my God, I just transported to another world. Oh my God, don't I have a wife and daughter that I cared about, which is why I was doing my crimes in the first place? Nah, it's just, hope the food's good here. And then they're like, well, this dude just appeared in our jail, and in our world, he ain't done nothing wrong, so we can't keep him in jail. And then he's just like, I should team up with Morbius. So he meets up with Morbius later. What I love is that you actually see Michael Keaton's face the first part when he's by himself, but the moment he meets up with Morbius, he is in full Vulture costume, face cover and everything. Straight up Power Rangers, just straight up just doing a voice over a suit. And he's all like, yeah, Morbius, we should team up. And Morbius like, I don't know if we should team up. And then he's like, look, man, Sony's gonna make us team up whether you like it or not, just deal with them. So yeah, Michael Keaton, Agent Toomes, Vulture from the MCU is now transported into this world to team up with Morbius. And I'm guessing they're going to both team up with Venom at some point. Sony is still trying for so many years. I remember this is Amazing Spider-Man 2. They are still trying to make this Sinister Six movie. And I just heard that they started filming a Kraven the Hunter movie. They are determined to get that Sinister Six on the screen. They don't care which six. They're like, I know you already used some other ones in other movies. We just need 6 of them. And there's also that Madam Web movie that's coming out. I am not against Sony trying to make a universe. Do what you gotta do. But this definitely feels like some riding some coattails. By them sticking this random scene, it is like an empty scene. There is no Doctor Strange. There is no Spider-Man. There is just that purple line in the sky to be like, y'all remember that other movie, right? It's just so weird. It just feels like the MCU made us a birthday gift. And Sony was like, oh, I forgot to get a gift. Can I just put my name on yours and say we both did it? That's what this feels like. Doing whatever the hell they want and then going, it's multiverse, baby. Like, that doesn't matter, right? We can just do whatever we want. It's not the same. This is you just going, I'm going to make stuff with Marvel characters that I own. And if anyone has any questions, I just go, multiverse. But then at the same time, let me take one of the people from the MCU and put them over here. Multiverse. But hey, man, it's just going to happen. I have come to accept that the Sonyverse is real. Let's just let it happen. It's crazy, man. I've seen people go hard on trashing this movie, but it's whatever. I've also seen people defend this movie. It's whatever. To me, this movie is just, it exists. Is it a movie you should see? Honestly, yes. Whether you end up liking it or not, I think it's good to see it, because if you end up liking it, I think it can prove to you that a bad movie can still be something you can enjoy. And I think if you end up not liking it, it can remind you that some of those movies that you think are so bad, it's like, well. But no matter what you think about this movie, whether you think it's good, think it's bad, I can tell you a Marvel vampire movie that's so much better. And in fact, it should get credit that we're seeing all these Marvel movies today. Give respect to Blade. That's what we should all do. We should all watch Blade. That's the Marvel vampire movie that you should be watching right now. If there's any other movie you want me to talk about this long in the future, you let me know in the comments, and also let me know what you thought of Morbius. Maybe you thought this was the best movie of the year. It is efficient. I will give it that. And somehow, if this is your first video you ever saw of me, hi, I'm Andre. I hope you enjoyed this, and I do more like this. So I hope you subscribe. I love you like a play cousin. I'm Howdy 5000. Don't look. There's lots of blood.